All right, welcome to the Butcher Block Horror Podcast, where we exhume horror movies from the past and cut into what makes them so delectable. I'm Kane.
I'm JD.
And I'm Joe.
And today we're going to be throwing Puppetmaster onto the slab and carving up our favorite portions to force feed to you, our unwitting victims. If you enjoy the taste of these feasts of fright, then give us a like and subscribe, being sure to click the bell. Consider following us on Twitter and Instagram. So yeah, the watch party for Puppetmaster was an interesting.
It was a time
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a special night for me.
So much so that I had to rewatch it today, just so that I could know what the fuck I was going to talk about during the podcast today.
Same here. Same here.
I mean, I honestly expected that you were going to have to rewatch.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. I touched some weird places in my subconscious. I felt during the film I was connecting to different parts of my mind.
Yeah,
and,
no, definitely.
In unexpected ways.
Yeah, you had a thing for Tunneler. That was...
Yeah. I just imagined him tunneling different places.
No, they were all pretty much the same spot. That's you got kind of hung up on him going into one kind of region on human bodies.
Well, I don't know. Well, fortunately, I don't remember as much of it as you guys do. So, okay, I'm going to just kind of start off giving some brief details here. Puppetmaster was released in 1989, straight to VHS. And it's definitely a subgenre movie within horror, and it has that sort of like killer doll, killer toy type of thing, if you will. And it was definitely, I don't know how to describe Puppetmaster. I'm going to reserve my opinion, though, for the very end.
Right, yeah.
But anyway, so the film was written by Kenneth J. Hall and David Schmoller. And so Schmoller also, he directed the film, and it was produced. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because I did hella deep dive into some research on this film and found out some pretty interesting details. So it was produced by Hope Prello and Charles Band, who is the son of director-producer Albert Band and Matt Rowe. Exactly. He's the brother to famed composer Richard Band. And as we know, Richard Band, did the score of From Beyond and a bunch of other phenomenal 80s, 90s horror. Schmoller, he was born in 1947, Louisville, Kentucky. I kind of want to punch people in the face that pronounce Louisville, Louisville, or Louisville. Just throwing that out there. Anyway.
People from there get real intense about how you should pronounce the name of that city.
I'm with him. I think, just say Louisville and everything will be all right. But Schmoller, he won some awards for the movie. The main one that I found was the Fanstopia Lifetime Achievement Award. And that is basically Fanstopia is a film festival based in Brazil. And you would also recognize some of these titles that Schmoller directed. Tourist Trap in 1979. The Seduction, 1982. Crawl Space, 1986. Catacombs in 88. And Puppetmaster, the subject of the hour, 1989. And something called Netherworld in 92. Now, Charles Band, his film studio or production company at the time was called Empire International Pictures, which it sort of failed and dissolved itself and transformed into what's now known as Full Moon Productions and sort of later renamed Full Moon Features. And okay. Charles Band, he's born in 1951, Los Angeles, California. He essentially carried out the entire Puppetmaster franchise. So if you rewind back to, I'm back on this whole thing of the Empire International Pictures. He actually did some really successful films, Ghoulies, Reanimator, Dungeon Master, and From Beyond. But somehow still the whole Empire thing didn't work out for whatever reason. So fast forward back to Puppetmaster. We've got this big smash hit on VHS. So I don't know that Puppetmaster would have reached its level of, fandom that it has. It's a bit of a cult classic, and it's all based upon that VHS release. There was something to that was like key, almost like having this physical thing that people could collect that helped to make it be what it is.
I mean, that makes sense.
And I would argue that even just watching a movie like in your house with your buddies versus on a theater screen is such a different experience that maybe that was part of why it caught on too. And lower resolution VHS might have made the movie look a little better.
Right, it gets like this special kind of shitty quality.
Yeah.
And it's charming, it's endearing.
Yeah.
Anyway, a lot of the VHS cassettes and some of the, I think, early like laser discs, they call them, they had this short featurette called No Strings Attached. And
I saw that.
Cool. So basically, it was like the making of Puppetmaster, and it consisted of mostly interviews of cast and crew, things like that. So now there's some juicy tidbits here I dug up. There's a little controversy surrounding the Puppetmaster franchise, namely starting with the first Puppetmaster. So like several years, basically after it had come out, this little mini shitstorm gets whipped up because, I'd mentioned earlier that Charles Band sort of carried on the franchise through his film studio. Schmoller was quoted as saying that Charles Band just didn't he didn't give credit to any directors. He pretty much just kind of took the credit and the glory for his production company. He went on to say that expresses discontent, or Charles Band didn't want to involve Schmoller in the discussion, really, when he was asked about Puppetmaster and the franchise, because he didn't want to really give Schmoller any sort of credit, share in the creation of Full Moon's largest successful franchise. So there's a bit of bad blood there, or at least there was.
Who was involved with the writing again?
So the writing was basically done by Kenneth J. Hall and David Schmoller.
Okay. So the guy that directed it also wrote the movie?
Sort of.
Sort of?
Yeah, because I did some research into the writing process.
And what did you glean from that, Joe?
Well, here's the thing, and it kind of ties back into what I kind of dug into, gets back into that weird controversy of who did what and who got the credit for doing what. Because apparently Band had the idea of, Ghoulies was successful. I want to do another tiny killer doll kind of movie. And that was kind of my inroad, because I wanted to see if there was some kind of story or lore that influenced the puppets. And as far as I can tell, no, aside from just other tiny doll monsters were successful in the 80s.
Right.
And based on that concept of, and Dungeon Master was successful. So it was just let's do a thing that's kind of like things that have worked for me before. And so, yeah, Kenneth Hall, like JD said, was hired to write a script. And a lot of it was basically what was in the movie, the Toulon and the puppets in the hotel, that was all the thing. But, and I'm sure we'll get into the plot as we talk, but the psychics and the weird kind of academics weren't the intended protagonists. It was meant to be a coven of witches. And in the scripted version, there was gonna be a lot wackier, wilder kind of 80s flavor horror movie, and it was rewritten by Schmoller.
Okay,
and all of that was taken out.
He was no witches. We're not
no
doing
witches. We're just gonna do this guy with his big face. And
I wonder. I was just going to say, I wonder why there's hesitation there with, having the characters be witches or, instead of... Why would that...
A gaggle of witches is any better or worse than a gaggle of psych. I think it's easier, since magic's in play, to have witches than have, a group of psychics.
But apparently that rewrite kind of feeds back into this controversy of this person wanted credit and he cut me out of getting the credit, and like there were royalties that didn't get paid. So there's some he said there that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
That is very interesting. So Schmoller was pissed at Band.
Right.
He felt like Band didn't give him the credit he was due.
Mm-hmm.
And then Joe, are you suggesting?
Yeah. And then Kenneth Hall was mad at Schmoller.
Right. so it's just like a list of grievances.
Yeah.
From the bottom up, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like apparently the Writers Guild had to get involved. It's a whole thing.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's definitely interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to add a few more points about his production company, Full Moon. So
go ahead.
I found out there are actually a couple of tentacles or offshoots of Full Moon. So like one of them is called Torchlight Entertainment, and it specializes in softcore porn.
Nice.
Science fiction related stuff and comedy. And like an example of that would be like a movie called Beach Babes from Beyond. And then there is Moonbeam, which is specializing more in like family oriented type of entertainment, but it's still surrounding like sci-fi, fantasy, that type of thing. So they were consistent in that, right? But one's kind of like, more on the X-rated side, and the other one's kind of everybody's involved,
They're covering all the bases.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's especially if the goal for Charles Band was a direct-to-video release of these films.
Yeah.
Then it totally stands to reason that he would be like, you know what? I'm going to do porn too.
And this spawned about 14 movies. Okay, because I was just trying to make a little list, and I mean, it's ridiculously long. Like, there's Puppetmaster, Puppetmaster 2, Puppetmaster 3, Toulon's Revenge, Puppetmaster 4, Puppetmaster 5, the final chapter, which is a total head fake, and then they cut to the rim with The Curse of Puppetmaster, and then Retro Puppetmaster, Puppetmaster the Legacy, Puppetmaster versus Demonic Toys, Puppetmaster...
which we should watch.
We should. I would probably be sober for that.
All right, good. I would actually hope that we could keep you, mostly sober on our watch parties from now on.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the path forward. I just, I needed that, and I just kind of let myself a little too loose.
Puppetmaster versus Demonic Toys has Corey Feldman in it.
Hell yeah.
Why do you want to watch movies with him in it?
Why don't you want to watch movies with him in it?
Because I've seen so many movies with him in it.
I know.
Then there was Puppetmaster Axis of Evil, which is kind of like a crazy title. And then Puppetmaster X, Axis Rising, Puppetmaster Axis Termination, Puppetmaster Littlest Reich. That was 2018. And then there's a spin-off, which is called Blade, the Iron Cross, 2020. And it's kind of strange to me that there's like a lot of like Nazi references in these.
Yeah.
Because
the two guys that are coming into Toulon's room at the very beginning of the film are Nazi spies.
Right. And I was about to add that, and I think that is just really peculiar that, it's pretty heavy with Nazi references. So, shall I proceed?
Yeah.
The cast. Okay, so now we're talking about actor Paul Lamette, which is the guy with kind of like the fucking sweet, like, ancient aliens hair. That's how I saw it. I thought, man, this guy's fucking stylist must just go nuts every time he walks through the door, because that's some work. So anyway, he was born in 1945 in New Jersey, and this guy has got quite a history. He's a Vietnam War veteran, and he's like highly decorated. So this guy's got like several medals, including a George Washington Medal of Honor. I don't know like what level of Medal of Honor that is, but it seemed like it was pretty like a featured point of his bio.
Yeah, if other people that are listening, if you guys know what the difference between the Congressional Medal of Honor and the George Washington Medal of Honor are, feel free to
contribute.
leave that information in the comments. We're happy to
obviously,
hear
one
that.
of them you get from George Washington.
I don't think that's possible, Joe.
Oh, you know what it is? I'll bet you it's like wooden teeth. Like wooden dentures.
Okay.
I don't know if that's an award. I think that's
It's a punishment?
that's a punishment.
It's mild
I
inconvenience,
do like the
yeah.
fact that he was like his breakout was in American Graffiti.
Mhm.
Oh, right on. Very nice. So then I'm going to kind of move on to William Hickey. Born 1927, Brooklyn, New York. And he's sort of best known as being the Mafia Don in Prizzy's Honor. I don't know if you guys ever
I don't
heard
know
of
what
that
that
or
is.
seen it.
No.
Yeah. I'm not even 100% sure that I pronounced that correctly, but I did my best.
I think it's Prizzi.
Oh, Prizzi's. Okay, Prizzi's Honor. Okay,
Yeah.
well, that sounds Italian
Still
to me.
don't know what that is.
Yeah, it doesn't change anything for me other than I don't know what it is, but he was well known for it, apparently. But he had a pretty lengthy career. He started acting at the age of 10. And I actually remember him. You know, have you guys ever seen the Tales from the Dark Side movie?
Oh yeah.
So there, it was broken up into segments.
Yeah, the Cat from Hell.
Yes, the Cat from Hell. So he was the old man. William Hickey was the old man in the wheelchair who hired a fucking hitman to kill a cat.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, like that. You took a hitman to kill your cat, huh? Okay. And then there was actress Irene Miracle, and she played Dana Hadley.
The White Witch.
Yes, and so she's born in 1954, Stillwater, Oklahoma, and she actually received pretty much just worldwide acclaim for her role in Midnight Express. Did you guys ever hear of or see that movie?
I don't think so.
It's a movie about this guy who like smuggled drugs and got stashed in a Turkish prison, and she came to visit him in a scene, and then, it was like a really dramatic moment, but Jim Carrey spoofed it in The Cable Guy where he like pushes his nipple up against the glass and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, Billy," and did all
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
So I just thought that was kind of cool. So she was, kind of a really well-known actress, and then to be in Puppetmaster is kind of like, okay. And then there's Jimmy F. Skaggs, born
Jimmy
in 40
Skaggs.
Jimmy Skaggs. Jimmy motherfucking Skaggs.
That's right.
Do you think the F stands for fucking?
Yep, Jimmy fucking Skaggs.
That's kind of how I felt.
Yeah.
So, 1944, Hot Springs, Arkansas. He played Neil Gallagher, and he was basically the dead guy who summoned all of the psychics and to then end up having them all murdered by puppets. He was also a drug dealer in The Lethal Weapon and a wino in the movie Hollow Man.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he made some sort of other cameo role in a movie called Dead End.
Right on.
And then we have Robin Freites, who played the role of Megan Gallagher, and she was pretty awesome.
Right.
She was in a movie called Man's Best Friend with some dog.
Oh,
And
yeah,
then-
that's like a robot dog.
Okay, that's kind of cool. That spices it up a little for me. And then she was in Quantum Leap, which is pretty cool because I liked Quantum Leap when I was
Yeah,
a little
it was a
kid.
good show. It was a good
Yeah.
show.
And then there was Matt Rowe, who played Frank Forrester. So he was the guy with like the weird, shitty like ponytail mullet thing.
Right.
Yeah, he's born 1952 in New York City. He has some interesting roles that in his film career. He was also in Child's Play 2 and Naked Gun 33 and a Third. Have you guys ever seen that one?
Leslie Nielsen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Leslie Nielsen. Then there was Catherine O'Reilly, and she played Carissa Stamford. She was the one with the thick glasses.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
sex psychic.
She was, very sexy psychic. She really...
It's a very specific power.
No, she had this specific power
Yeah.
of being able to relive people's sexual experiences.
God, that would be embarrassing.
Just tied to places.
So, like, if she got in your car, she would know that, like, any of the gratuitous sexual moments, or, like, if she was to enter your apartment.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, that was her one power.
Nice.
Yeah, she was able to experience the different levels of coitus from movie star, anyone involved with that type of activity, she was able to channel it.
That wouldn't work for me because I'm a bit of a germaphobe. I'd be walking around like, ew, 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 like.
It'd just be like you had blacklight vision everywhere you went.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I'd have to cap my eyes like the fucking guy from the X-Men does to like prevent that laser ray from frying his friends.
Cyclops.
That's him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a hell of a guy. And so anyway, Catherine O'Reilly, she was in a movie called Jack's Back. I have no idea what that was, but she played a prostitute. And then she was in something else called Saturday the 14th Strikes Back. I'm not familiar with it either. Right. And then the lovely Barbara Crampton was in Puppetmaster.
I don't know that you can give her like a full rundown for this.
Yeah, she was a woman at a carnival seeking.
Yeah, it was a cameo.
Yeah, just a short bit of Barbara Crampton. Not enough Barbara Crampton, in my opinion.
Right.
In your opinion, is there ever enough Barbara Crampton?
No, absolutely not. No, there's no limit for the number of minutes. Her screen time should be infinite.
Right.
So, that's all there is to it. Anyway.
Well, with Barbara, I thought it was interesting that David Boyd was the cinematographer for Puppetmaster.
Right.
She was married to him, and both of them are in that cameo.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't come up with the guy's name at the carnival, but that was David Boyd?
Yep, that was David Boyd. He was the cinematographer for Puppetmaster. He did a few movies with Charles Band, I think.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, he did a few movies with him. They were married at the time, so it kind of makes that scene a little funnier when Barbara Crampton's character is like, when's he going to get a real job?
Yeah, she was really cracking his fucking stones, man.
Yeah, she was.
So, and coming from Barbara Crampton, too, I don't know if I could bear that.
I think he was able to bear it because he was married to her.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, that should grow him a thicker skin for next time, you know?
Right, I think they were married for like 2 years.
Yeah, well, Hollywood.
Yep.
So then there is an actress with a really cool name, Muse Small. I think that's how you pronounce it, Mews. It just reminds me because I'm a cat lover.
She has like a bunch of different names. This is actually one of the actors that I personally was kind of looking into.
Okay.
But just because she was credited in Puppetmaster as Maria Small.
Oh, I read, oh wait, that was what you read that her name was as the character in the movie? Or
No, she was Teresa in the movie, but she was credited in the movie as Maria Small.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So she was born in 1942, Pasadena, California. And she was in a really pretty awesome movie. I believe it's a Stanley Kubrick movie called One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Nice.
And she was the character on Candy.
Yeah.
And then she also had a small role in, she was in that movie about Andy Kaufman, Man on the Moon. Or I didn't dive too deep into everyone because I just felt like there were so many different characters in this movie, and it was really hard to like know who was who and follow it because the plot felt so disjointed to me and like, So anyway, so Peter Franklin and Andrew Kimbrough were the two Nazi spies.
Yes. He played, Peter Franklin played Max, and then Andrew Kimbrough played Klaus.
Oh, those are some stern Nazi names.
They are. I actually, again,
I'm uncomfortable.
This was another like random Wikipedia info hole that I fell into. He actually does classes for theater and acting.
Nice. I may have to take one of those. I'm just kidding. I would never do that.
All right, and who else do we got on the acting front?
Then I have just like voices for the puppets because apparently some of the puppets who got about a total of 5 minutes of screen time. We barely.
Yeah, not a lot of
not
a lot of
wasn't.
puppets in Puppetmaster.
There is a void, a puppet-shaped void in the movie Puppetmaster.
Yeah, really just, I don't know.
They should have named the movie Psychics.
Yeah, or just never fuck with the original, the screenplay and just have it be about witches. I'm all for that. So, but you know what, we get what we get in life.
Exactly, and obviously, if we had our way in 1989, there probably wouldn't be 12 fucking Puppetmaster movies. So they obviously did something right. Oh yeah, there's 14. So obviously they did something right. They put something in the right spot.
They sure did. They planted one hell of a seed there.
Right.
So we have some of the voice actors and actresses' names. Ed Cook did the voice of Pinhead.
Okay.
Linda Cook was Leech Woman.
Okay.
Tim Dornberg did, my favorite character, Tunneler. Bert Rosario was Blade. And I found out an interesting a little tidbit, a trivia bit about the puppet Blade. That was the first puppet we're introduced to, okay? And they actually fashioned that puppet in the likeness of actor Klaus Kinski.
Oh, really?
Yes. That's what I read. So I look at Blade and I don't feel like I really see. I've drawn a portrait once of Klaus Kinski because I feel he has a really interesting face and a striking face, and to me it's like it's very sculptured looking and very chiseled, but other than that I don't see really much resemblance there. So
I don't know.
But yeah, I encourage all of our listeners to take a look at the puppet Blade and then find a photo of Klaus Kinski and see how you feel about that. And leave
while
in the
you
comments.
were talking, I did. I looked up Klaus Kinski.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can see
no,
it?
I can see it.
Oh yeah. But when he had long hair, now he's got like in a lot of the photos, he's got like a nice guy haircut. But
sure,
any of them where he's got long hair, he absolutely looks like
a puppet,
like Blade.
He looks like a creepy little puppet.
Well, the creepy little puppet looks like him.
Just like the outline of the face and the jawline and the eye sockets.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it. The cheekbones. Yeah.
So that's essentially, the actors and actresses involved and whatever. And so now I'm going to delve into the special effects, the visual effects. And most of that was the wizard David Allen. But he also had some creative backup along with Mark Rappaport.
Yeah.
And Patrick Simmons. So
Nice.
I would say those three characters were instrumental in making all of this go down. So Rappaport was more of like the animatronics engineer, and Patrick Simmons was more of the makeup guy and just the overall like aesthetic and of the visual effects was kind of David Allen. So, and that little documentary kind of touches on that, the No Strings Attached.
Which you can find it on YouTube. You can find the No Strings Attached video on YouTube.
It's about like 7 or 8 minutes long, something like that.
Yeah, it's not very long at all.
It's probably more watchable than Puppetmaster. I don't know if that's a nice thing to say, but so anyway, Rappaport is a pretty he's a badass. He's a pretty badass dude. So
yeah,
he did some stuff. He worked on Army of Darkness, and then a movie we mentioned last time, Dr. Morbid. And then he also worked on Edward Scissorhands, Tremors, The Fly 2, and then Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So yeah, that guy's pretty kick-ass.
Yeah, no, his the movies that he controlled, like animatronics in, are all fucking pretty interesting. I won't say that they're all really good, but they're all entertaining.
I read that it took, just to operate one puppet accurately, it would take up to 5 people to make that happen, just to make the movements believable and kind of coordinating all of that. It took 5 people per puppet.
Maybe that's why there's so little puppet footage.
Yeah, because it was difficult to pull off. Yeah, there's an actress named Cindy Sorensen.
Mm-hmm.
and she was the hands of Pinhead, the like brute muscle-bound puppet.
Right. With a tiny little head and gigantic hands.
Yeah. Like she would, anytime he was punching someone, that was her punching someone.
Or strangling.
Yes.
Yeah, he did a bit of strangling, for most certainly.
Yeah, no, he certainly did. Yeah, that was all her. That was all her hands.
See, and one of the interesting things for me in the special effects and visual effects in this movie was all of the stop motion animation that was used. That's kind of like, if you look at the other films of that era, I would say like, stop frame was, I don't think it was, this was probably the end of that era, I would say.
No, I mean, Tim Burton did a shit ton of stop motion animation. I think.
Yeah, when did Beetlejuice come out?
I don't know, maybe around like, probably right around the same time as this film. Maybe like a year or two after.
Yeah, because I did a lot of stop motion too.
Yeah, wasn't Nightmare Before Christmas all stop motion animation though?
Yeah.
And that was 1993. So I mean, I think it's been out there, but I think that CGI has kind of usurped a lot of the jobs that used to be done with stop motion animation.
Sure.
When I was a kid, we just called it claymation.
Mm-hmm. Claymation. Yeah, there was a fun Nintendo game about claymation characters, and they would like beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, Clay Fighters. Yeah.
That was a pretty fun one.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I want to just acknowledge real quick Richard Band again as the the musical director of this film, producing the score and whatnot.
Yeah, actually, I really, listening to the score, like going through the movie again without, a certain member of this podcast team going berserk with Woad and a two-handed sword. Listening back to him, he actually, when I listened back to it, it did have like a circusy kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
But that dude was just really talented at setting the mood. All right. Well, at this point, I believe it's time for us to go ahead and kind of go over the plot a little bit.
That's going to be hard to do.
What the fuck was going on in this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Truthfully, that's impossible to chop up almost.
Really, man? Like,
just things happened and the guy was dead, but then he wasn't dead. Like, where do you start?
Yeah, I mean, I think the last, half hour of the film is all I would have needed to see.
Yeah.
Because all of the setup that they're using to get to that last half hour really wasn't that great.
No, it was like a weird soap opera.
It really was. Like, there was points where I was trying to figure out what direction they were trying to go in. Like, why did they do this like this? Like, why couldn't they have... I just don't... I think that...
Yeah.
It was very difficult for me to enjoy, the first, 45 minutes to an hour of the film. Especially with how much acclaim this movie has.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, and I will say that as a kid, I fucking loved this movie. I thought this movie was
I liked it too.
Absolutely amazing. Not just because I got to see boobies, but just seeing puppets murder people just really made me happy. Like, I watched the first, 3 films, one right after another.
I think your brain just focuses in on the puppets and remembers those. And then 20 years later, when you watch it again, you're like, oh, this doesn't have nearly as many puppets in it as I remember.
It doesn't.
It's true that you do just end up remembering the puppet moments because, my favorite scene was where Matt Rowe, had it all of a sudden just having these leeches spewed onto his chest by the leech woman puppet.
That was tied up and blindfolded and was actually kind of into what was happening with the leech lady before he realized it was the leech lady.
I have some fun trivia about that bondage scene, by the way.
Let's do it. Yes.
Do share.
Yeah. Apparently Charles Brand specifically requested a bondage scene in the script. So in the original pre-edited version, it was written for, and let me find the interview. It was written for, quote, a pair of leather-clad motorcycle-riding punk witches.
Hell yeah.
And instead of that, we got what we got in the film.
I really wish they would have had the leather-clad punk witches.
Yeah, sounds a little more interesting.
Of all the films that
man.
get remade today, why don't they remake Puppetmaster the way it was originally intended to be made and just have at it?
With witches?
With witches, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do it.
Apparently, you can buy a copy of that script for $25 from the original screenwriter.
Worth every penny.
Well, I mean, I know there's talk. I know Charles Band is talking about rebooting Puppetmaster, which I guess he's talking about remaking the first Puppetmaster.
Yeah, see, I think go with the witches and you're going to have something you could release in a theater instead of on VHS.
Well, I mean, I wonder if he would keep it in that vein. Like, I wonder if he would still be like, all right, I'm just going to do this direct to digital, you know?
Right.
Because that's not a terrible...
No, if anything, it's easier
Yeah.
to... Doesn't Full Moon have their own streaming service?
Yeah, Full Moon has all sorts of shit, man. They have, like, merchandise up the wazoo and all different stuff. I mean, they really went for it.
They have a direct online marketplace. And you can get, and I'm really glad that I went to this fucking website, you can get fucking replicas of the puppets.
That's
Full-sized
awesome.
replicas
Way overpriced.
for $210.
Yeah, that's
Oof.
not bad.
It's actually not bad.
If they're screen accurate, yeah.
So you mean I can buy a tunneler?
Yes.
Yeah,
JD.
and do whatever you want
Yeah,
with
it can go into whatever orifice you want to stuff it.
That's pretty cool.
And they actually look good. Like, I'm looking at them right now, and they actually don't look bad.
Well, you would hope so for $200 amount of dollars.
Yeah.
That's, should come with some level of quality at that price.
Yeah, they look pretty good. But I mean, you can get Blu-rays, DVDs, the sets, like box sets, and then there's a Puppetmaster trunk.
Nice.
Which it's
Damn.
out of stock right now. But holy shit, this thing's cool.
Really? They sold out of Puppetmaster trunks?
Well, I mean, it's a Blu-ray set,
Okay.
but it's the trunk that Toulon stuffs into that obvious hidey hole.
He put Blade into early on in the movie?
Yeah, it looks
Okay.
like that. There's even a little mini blade.
Nice.
That
it
is
actually-
cool.
It actually does look pretty fucking cool.
You mean a little mini Klaus Kinski?
Yeah, a little mini Klaus Kinski, a miniature mini of Klaus Kinski.
That's pretty cool. You know what I want to do now? I want to buy one of those and then have it sent to Warner Herzog.
I think he would just be angry and confused.
I think he would just be confused. I don't even think he would be angry.
No.
I mean, he's German.
I know.
You
I just
assume
based
that
on
Germans are just angry.
Yeah.
Well, I based that off the nature of their relationship. I feel like they had a sort of turbulent relationship.
Yeah. Full Moon Features does have their own streaming service, by the way.
Oh, nice. And they wear many caps over there at Full Moon.
And apparently, if you get a 1-year subscription, you get a free 12-disc Puppet Master box set.
And
I mean, how much is a 1-year subscription?
$59.99.
What?
Yeah.
And you also get free bloodletting from the Leech Woman.
I don't think that's true. I don't think they offer that. Sadly.
Well, I'm gonna
Full Moon should
write
just be
them a
paying
letter.
us for marketing now.
What's that?
Full Moon should just be paying us. We literally just promoted their streaming service and merchandise.
Oh, we
Right.
did.
Well, whatever.
Look, man. All I'm saying is that they also have masks.
Full Moon, send us some merch and we will continue to speak positively of you.
It's true. Yeah, send us merch. I would personally like the Blade mask so that I can protect my friends and family from COVID-19.
You could also look like Klaus Kinski.
Yeah.
I don't think I have the hairline for that.
No.
You could get a wig.
Older Klaus Kinski had a receding hairline.
It's very true.
It's true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you're welcome, Full Moon Features. This is our gift for you. Hopefully, you'll when we post this episode and we shout at you from Twitter, you'll keep that in mind and maybe send us some merch.
Right.
All right. Well, this is the point where we're going to talk about our personal experience with the movie. I'll go ahead and Joe, we'll have you go first.
Okay.
How did this movie affect you?
I mean, I remember it being rad when it was on the Sci-Fi Channel in like 1998. Watching it now as an adult, much less cool. The puppets are all amazing and incredibly well designed. And usually when the puppets are on screen, I'm having fun.
Right.
But almost every other time, I'm just like, I don't care about these academics and their weird, horny lives. This is fine. I kind of want to check Twitter. So that was my experience.
Right on. JD, why don't you tell us about your experience? And let's be specific with it. Why don't you tell us about your experience last night when we watched the movie together in a watch party?
I created a new experience for myself. So I had an experience with Puppetmaster, and I created a new one. And it was,
and by extension, you gave us an experience with Puppetmaster.
And we
otherwise would not have had.
Yeah, exactly.
And for that, I am glad. So, a friend of a friend.
No names.
Just a friend of a friend. That's all it need be said. Gifted me a particular type of mushroom, and I was, told that just these aren't very strong, so go ahead and have a few. And so I'm thinking, like I made my usual. Now, I'm not trying to plug Tombstone frozen pizzas or anything like that, but I ate one yesterday. It was a 5 cheese pizza, and I was like, this could use maybe a little mushroom. So I threw, a few little pieces on a couple of the slices, and I'm eating it down. And then, I come talk to you guys, and I'm like, I'm gonna have a glass of wine. I had a rough day at work, so we're gonna watch the movie, and I'm gonna have a glass of wine. And I just thought, okay, well, maybe I'll microdose. That was because I didn't have that much, just a few tiny little little tidbits on my pizza. So I'm washing it down with this wine, and you guys and all this, we're just talking and chatting and going over the movie as we're watching, and this shit just starts kicking in on me.
Yes, it did. Holy shit.
I remembered.
And how?
I remember the movie feeling kind of mundane, and I thought I could spice it up without tipping over the edge. I'm like, maybe I can just walk this line and kind of keep it to myself and just kind of microdose and enjoy it. And I disappeared to the kitchen. So I'm like, I had like a glass of wine in me, and that the mushrooms were kind of like a stimulant. So I drank the entire bottle of wine in like however long it took to watch that movie. So by the end of the movie, I was like, I had a bottle of wine in me, and then I took a few hits of like a really heavy indica called Ray Charles. So I'm like, I was just like pretty intense last night. I was pretty fucked up.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
But anyway, my takeaway from the movie, and so at the end of the night, I was scribbling on paper, and now keep in mind I'm blazing fucking balls on mushrooms, and I'm high, and I'm kind of drunk, and I scribble this thing down on a sheet of paper,
I gotta know.
This is what I wrote. I wrote final thoughts of Puppetmaster. So I'm going to read this to you.
Do.
This movie is the equivalent to imagine having a shit stain up in the front part of your underwear. Exactly. Leaving you wondering how it got there. Desperately trying to place everything and put it all back together, unpacking a ton of fucking nonsense. That's what I wrote on a sheet of paper, high on mushrooms.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
So to me, the movie was finding like the equivalent to finding a shit stain on the front part of your underwear as opposed to the back part.
Right.
I think the important question here, and I don't want to speak for Joe, so I'll let him ask his important question, is how often do you find shit stains in your underwear?
Never.
So
I think as long as you're
So having a shit stain not in where a shit stain would normally be, which would be in the back of your underwear, but having it in the front, that would be pretty fucking disturbing. I think that
someone else shit your pants at that point.
Somebody else shit your underwear.
I don't know, man. I was high on mushrooms when I wrote it. So that was my takeaway.
All right.
That's
so before I give you my takeaway, I don't want to forget this part. What question, like what scene in the movie, Joe, did you want to just throw out there for JD and I to kind of chew on? And then any listeners that slipped and fell and wound up on this part of Spotify or YouTube?
Ordinarily, like with From Beyond, I had a lot of those. Like, how did the special effects guy? This movie was so beige.
Yeah.
For most of it, it was just like a pair of white cotton socks.
We're still on the underwear theme. I like it.
Yeah.
Undergarments.
Yeah. That we kind of talked about the puppets, and like some of it was stop motion, some of it was just puppetry with strings. I'm good.
Okay.
I
just if you're going to watch Puppetmaster, just watch the last half hour. It's fine. That's when everything cool happens.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. JD, did you have anything that the movie kind of sparked a curiosity for you?
Not so much as it definitely Sing It Again sort of renewed my appreciation for animatronics and stop frame animation. Other than that, I can't really think of anything not much I can say other than that.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
very bland.
My personal experience with the film, I actually saw the movie with my Baptist minister father when I was a kid.
How did he like that?
It seemed like, I couldn't watch MTV. I couldn't listen to heavy metal music. But somewhere in his religion-addled brain, he had decided that horror movies were just A-okay. And I think, and I don't want to dissect this too much because I want to talk about Puppetmaster, but I think it was because he liked horror movies. And so since he liked horror movies, they obviously couldn't be tools of the devil.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of got a pass. Like, even movies that had boobs and what is it, strong sexual situations, like those movies we were allowed to watch. He'd make us cover our eyes, but we were still allowed to watch all of those movies. He didn't like fast forward it. He would just make us, put our hands up over our eyes, and then we'd peek through our fingers anyway, so it didn't really matter.
Sure.
So my personal experience with the movie was I thought it was amazing. Like, I dug into it. I watched a bunch of them, one weekend after the next, and I just thought that they were fantastic. I loved those movies. Rewatching it in 2020, I came to the same conclusions that you guys did. Like, it's really kind of just it's just like an eggshell colored wall all the way up to like the last half hour. And then you're like, okay, at least this is happening now. I actually had some questions, though. So, you know, and it makes more sense knowing that the original script called for witches, because it makes more sense than a bunch of psychics. But Gallagher, you know, the bad guy of the film, or the antagonist of the film, or that you think is the antagonist of the film.
Sure.
Because it's important to note that Robin Freites,
Okay.
she's Megan Gallagher. You know, she has that, like, stuffed dog that the White Witch had early on in the movie. And she, like, sits it on the stairs and it walks away. So you're like, oh no, she's, like, using the power of Toulon to, like, resurrect stuff. But why did Gallagher... He talks about it in the movie that they all would have known because they were all mentally linked that he was immortal now. Why kill them? Like, if you're close enough friends that you guys have, like, a mental link with each other, and you're like, oh man, I've become immortal, I'm really scared that my buddies are going to find out about how to become immortal too, so I'm going to murder them all.
Right.
That's like a vampire that never bites anyone. It just doesn't make any sense. You're going to be alone forever if you...
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
If these are your homies, these are your aces, these are your friends, why wouldn't you give them the ability to live forever as well?
Yeah, bring them along for the eternal ride.
Exactly, yeah.
I really do feel like, because it's something that gets talked about with big Hollywood movies, how getting passed between writers and, you know, marketing guys, like, hey, we need to make this movie as audience palatable as possible, and, like, writes and rewrites will make a movie worse.
Right.
I think this movie, now that we're kind of talking about it, may have been a microcosm of that. Just there was a script, and then another guy came in and was like, yeah, your script is good, but I'm going to change it some so I can maybe put my name on it. There's some controversy about that. And I really do think it just made the movie confused.
It did.
Disjointed.
Yeah, because, I mean, I guess it makes sense, like, if, you know, a witch uncovers this power and she's a particularly evil witch, and she's like, I don't want these other witches to find out I have this power, so I'm going to invite them under the guise of friendship, and then I'm going to murder the shit out of all of them.
Sure.
That actually sits better with me than, these are all of my friends that I've known long enough that I have a psychic link with now. Oh no, they're going to find out that I've discovered the secret to eternal life. I'm going to have to murder them all now.
And if you're a psychic, why the fuck would you show up? You would probably know that you were about to die, right?
Well, I mean, there's evidence of that. There's Dana, the White Witch, when she's giving that reading to Barbara Crampton and David Boyd, when she's giving them the reading, she's bullshitting them. She's just telling them what they want to hear. And then she has a vision of what happens to her in the movie, you know, because the fucking pinhead puppet, and I'm rewatching it, not with you guys where somebody was way off the rails, but rewatching it by myself, you hear her leg fucking snap when Pinhead pulls her down like that. But not to deviate too far from what I'm talking about, she sees a vision of her crawling on the ground and escaping something. And then she sees a vision of Blade's knife. So she's like, and she even talks about it in the film. She's like, we're all going to die. Like, this is, you know, it's like, why not get in the elevator, go out the front door, and fucking leave? Just take your weird stuffed dog and your Native American appropriated, you know, fucking magic sticks and fucking go.
Well, you know, for the same reason in a lot of horror films where, you know, people, they'll hear a creak and then they'll go walk through that dark doorway, you know? It's like, why would you do that?
Right, yeah. But those people don't have psychic visions about their own demise.
Yeah, it needed some kind of bottle. Like, you can't leave the house until dawn because of some...
Exactly.
And again, the witch premise, I think, might have made this work better. Because then you've got magic.
Right.
And you can say, we can't leave the house until dawn because the curse or whatever. And it's fine. But no.
But regardless, if you've watched Puppetmaster or you've listened to us and you're like, you know what, those idiots don't know what they're talking about, I'm going to rewatch it.
Which is probably true.
And then you watch it and you're like, no, that's not what happened. Here's a better explanation. Fucking tell us. You know,
Yeah.
We're happy to explore any avenue that's going to make this more understandable.
Yeah, tweet at us.
Yeah. Or just, yell at us in all caps on YouTube. Whatever's whatever's the best way for you to get your point across. I want to know what your thoughts are. I think this is pretty good. I think we've covered it as best we can.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can send us a message, leave a comment. We warn you that it is unsafe for you to forget to like, follow, and subscribe.
And ring the bell.
You do have to ring the bell. And that's just so that every time we vomit one of these things out, you'll be able to scoop up all of that puke and ingest it.
It's true.
We're like mother birds.
Yeah, we chewed up this movie for you, so if you don't want to watch it again, but you still want to talk about how you remember it, we're happy to engage you on that front too.
Yeah, let us regurgitate it into your brain mouth.
And for patrons, I believe we may make our recorded track of the commentary over the film available.
It's true.
In the future.
I mean, it's not guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed.
It depends on if it can be edited in such a way.
I was just about to add that it would require some heavy editing. We'll limit my shrieking and my Viking banter about berserking.
Yeah. Otherwise, you may actually be driven mad by that recording.
Yeah, it might open up a door that's meant to be closed. So we'll see. Once it gets in editing, we'll see.
But it could be a fun way to consume the movie with us three knuckleheads, dripping over the top of it. So,
like a was it a slurry?
Yeah, like a flurry, exactly. Something.
Gross.